and welcome to another edition of OnSide SA. Well, it's come to crunch time now because the Premier League starts Friday night, and we've waited a long time. Budge, great to be getting rolling at last.
Pity it is a Friday night game, Paul, but other than that,
we just want to get started.
Yeah, no
and
doubt.
Budge, last one standing. The guys are coming up. We've revamped things a little bit, especially with the women's prize.
Yeah.
And we've got, obviously, that trip. It's a wonderful trip. If you can win it and get over to watch a team of your choice and do everything like that, that's a big thing for me. So, but it's hard to win.
Always, Paul. Just thanks to Chris Wheeler, Postnet have agreed to continue our sponsorship, so that's great. But, Paul, it's never easy, but let's see. Chris McCabe, our last winner, we're going to Liverpool, Tottenham at end of next month, so that's great.
Right. That's great. The last winner's going with.
The last winner. The next one, the other trip I've got is Man City, Liverpool at the Etihad. Sorry, at Anfield. So I'm not looking forward to that.
No, that's fantastic. That's why the guys win it. They got something to look forward to. Going to those games, a lot of guys wouldn't get there, but they take it, and they take for their daughters, they take for their sisters, because the bragging rights are there.
Oh, no doubt about that.
All right, well, that's it. Don't forget, last one standing starts. Get hold of Budge, get your bets and get your selections in, because there's going to be some upsets in the opening games. There always is. Burnley, Chelsea springs to mind.
Just remind Paul, it starts Saturday. The Friday game is not included.
Okay, you guys got that Saturday. Saturday is when we get rolling. So the Burnley at home to Man City does not form part of this new competition. On average, 7 weeks, but they've been stretching a bit.
Paul, do you ever know? Paul, after last week, we normally have 3 competitions a year.
Yes.
Last season, we had 4.
It can happen again, but you just get one shocking result. And I know people will be fine. And I can tell you, you've done the stats. Many times, it's a guy who takes 1 ticket who wins it. Because 70% or something like that. Now, the situation, some guys think, well, I'll take 10 tickets. The CEO, the TKO, he puts 5 on 1, they get beat, he's just about out. It's not easy.
No, it's never easy, Paul.
Never easy. Well, it's going to be very interesting because I think the league will be tight again. Right, so let's get on to Stevie B. Is he about?
Steve, good morning.
Good morning, guys.
Morning, Steve. Nice to hear your voice again. And the first thing we got to talk about, and it's the Tupperware Cup. Fulham hosting Spurs.
Yeah. Well, look, it's probably the biggest game of the tie of the round. Sort of a London derby. So there's a couple of other sort of all Premiership ties, but it's probably the biggest tie of the round, and an opportunity for the squad players to get a game. Obviously both have got. Tottenham got a bigger squad, and they'll. I'm sure that Postecoglou will want to see sort of 1 or 2 in action. So it's going to be a good game. We don't have a particularly good record against Tottenham in recent years, but if we're going to go out, we might as well go out against a big team.
Yeah. Just before we get on to the review of the Community Shield, Budge, I want to ask Steve. Steve, these refs, whether it be women's football, men's football, any football now, have taken a new stance where they're quick to yellow card the managers on the sideline or the coaches. They're getting the players. I think it's a good move, but I haven't seen the whole spectrum of whatever they can do. What do you think?
Well, I think it is a good move because obviously I think that there was a lot of dissent going on. A lot of players and surrounding the referee and sort of the bench sort of haranguing the fourth officials. I think that, what we could find is that there's going to be a real flurry of yellow cards and potentially red cards. So players and coaches are going to have to sort of be a little bit careful. I think one of the rules is that you can't have like the whole bench hanging around in the technical area. The manager is the one who's there and is standing up shouting orders, but not his whole entourage. So I think players and coaches will get used to it. But from what I've seen, some of the friendlies and the women's World Cup games, I think there are going to be quite a few more yellow cards, and players with not particularly good disciplinary records are going to have to be careful.
Yeah. I just heard on the news today, just staying with it for a moment, that the last match of the Premier League last year, there were 11 yellow cards. There were 26 the other day. Are they taking a tough stance on verbal abuse?
Definitely. I think abusing the officials. I think one of the things I saw is that if supposing you have two players haranguing the referee, one of them will definitely get booked. So, I think it should go to the point where, you get in rugby, like the captain is the only one that's allowed to actually question the referee as to a decision. But once you start getting all the players surrounding the referee and all sort of, not quite pushing and shoving him, apart from what happened with Mitrovic, but I think they're trying to cut that out. So.
Well, I watched the West Brom Blackburn game, Steve, and Corberon, the West Brom manager, got sent off. He was screaming and shouting. He got warned, got the yellow, and straight off he was crying. And Arteta on Sunday as well. It's time. Shut up. Yeah. But the good thing, Steve, is all, for years, say you caught a team on the break, the guy would flick somebody's legs and get away with it. Cynical. No, it's straight yellow. If you go for the ball and you don't time it, yellow. I know it's going to be like Spanish football, this tiki-taka stuff, but... I agree. The rest, shut up. You've got nothing decent to say, don't say it.
All right, before we get on to review, I know I'm dragging this out a bit, Budge. The big issue now is going to be amount of time played. A 90-minute game, there was 55 minutes of football last year.
Yeah.
Now they want it to be 75, 80 minutes. What's your take on that? It just means, Steve, that the extra time, or whatever they call it, now will be nearly double figures.
It will be longer in matches where we've seen from we saw that in the World Cup where they were adding time, and I think we're going to have to get used to matches finishing sort of 15-20 minutes after their scheduled time, because they'll be adding time on in the first half as well as the second half. So if a team takes 3 or 4 minutes celebrating a goal, that's going to be added on. So I think that whether or not there's it's interesting. Some of the one or two of the teams and some of the players have criticised it, saying it's too much. But I think ultimately, maybe that will be an incentive for players just to get on with it.
Yeah, I agree.
One last thing I know is fresh. There's a Man City player. I think it was the boy in the midfield, very good player, who has gone to Pep Guardiola. Said, I cannot play 46 games in a year.
56 was Rodri.
Was Rodri? Yeah, it was the 50.
But he doesn't do too much running, but he's a good player.
But in the middle, he's an engine.
It's the pressure that goes with it as well. Yeah.
So rotation is going to be a big thing for a top club.
Well, should be. But Man City. He was the anchor of all their the games, Paul. Class act. So we'll see. But
all right, you can have your review now. Budge.
All right, Steve. Talking about Rodri, went over 3.5 goals in the bookings in the game, 13-10. He should have been sent off. He made 3 fouls that on Friday night, the Southampton-Sheffield Wednesday game, the guys all got booked. The ref warned him twice and eventually he had to book him. But everyone's screaming about Arsenal, how great they were. I know in the first half they should have been ahead, but the second half, I wasn't impressed with them. What did you see?
No, in the second half, City should have closed that game out.
Yeah.
Not in the second half particularly, had chances. That Arsenal, rode their luck and got that sort of pretty much last-minute equaliser.
Yeah.
And then obviously penalties, as we know, is a lottery. So, they'll obviously be pleased with that because, they didn't do particularly well against City last season. But, I don't think it counts so much. And City will obviously, we'll see how they both progress. I think they're both expected to win comfortably, and we'll cover that in a minute.
Yeah,
The weekend.
That's true.
Okay.
But the way Arsenal fans are screaming, they've really won the league. Not for me.
Yeah,
Steve, Paul, the Harry Kane latest. What is it?
Again, Dortmund, not Dortmund, Bayern have upped their offer again, and they were a bit peeved because the deadline came and went without Levy responding. That's what I read on my site. I think most people are philosophical. It's got to the stage where every season it's same story, and they got to a place now where they're saying, let's decide it either way. Levy has, this is what the journalist says, has a situation where he's got to do his best to keep him, not to alienate fans. If Levy keeps Kane, regardless of what they offered, they're going to say, whoa, he really is for the club, he's for us, But they've got to, then they're saying you're not looking at your pocket, you're looking at the club, because he's made enough money.
Yeah.
He's no monkey. So to answer the question, we could be on the news tonight, he's gone. It could be on the news tonight, he's going at the end of the month. Or he could be staying.
Okay.
So I think everybody's in the dark. Have you heard anything, Steve?
mean, I think the same as you. I think that we're getting very close. Harry Kane has made it clear he wants it sorted before the weekend. I think that we're going to know one way or the other.
Yeah.
I just get the impression whatever Bayern are bidding, Tottenham don't really want to sell.
Yeah.
I know there was the comment from Joe Lewis saying we want money for him, but ultimately, if they really wanted that money, they might have taken it by now. If Bayern are prepared to sort of pay the 100 million or 100 million plus potentially, but I think like Harry Kane's in a win-win situation. He doesn't mind staying another year. He's getting paid good money, and then his options are totally open for him next season. So, and Tottenham fans obviously don't want him to go because I was watching the pundits were saying yesterday, even if you've got 100 million, who's out there who's better than Kane that you can buy?
Yeah,
probably isn't that they could actually recruit. So he's probably worth more to Tottenham by keeping him and letting them get. But there is still the potential he could sign a new contract next season at the end of the season if he's happy with progress and with what Postecoglou's doing. So I guess by keeping him, it sort of gives Spurs the opportunity to try and convince him to sign one more contract and end his career there. But as I say, I'm sure it's a nervy time for Tottenham fans in the next 48 hours.
Joe Lewis, he wants him to sell because he needs the money to pay for his insider trading, or else to pay his jail sentence, or what, I don't know. Anyway, all right, Stevie, that's the Kane and latest. We know nothing more.
Yeah, and also, Steve, the last thing before we get on to the betting, West Ham situation. Now, I was listening to a guy, the deal with West Ham and Man United is done, but the personal terms aren't guaranteed yet with Harry Maguire.
Okay, because they've got to pay me.
That's a possibility. I think it will probably happen. I'd be surprised if it doesn't. Yeah. I mean, it does sound as if James Ward-Prowse is going to go, and they're looking at the medical today with a view to him signing and being available at the weekend. And obviously they just brought in Edson Alvarez from Ajax. So if they bring in Harry Maguire, that's pretty much the Declan Rice money gone. Yeah. With 3 players. So I think they were always going to buy. Interesting that the Southampton have accepted the 30 million that they rejected a week or so ago, on the basis that evidently the payment terms are more to their liking.
Yeah.
So obviously it's...
read the space. So the weekend we should
watch the space.
It's the heartbeat of the Southampton team.
Yeah.
But I think it's a good. I think it's a good acquisition for West Ham. He's a playmaker, scores goals, take their set pieces.
Yeah. I think it'd be a good signing, especially with his set piece delivery, because that's they score most of their goals. Anyway, on to the Premiership for the weekend. We'll get the betting up now. Steve, Friday, Vincent Company. Don't know if he wanted this opening game, but...
get it out the way.
Man City at home. Any chance of an upset?
Well, look, there's always chance of an upset. I mean, City didn't start strongly last year. I suspect they will get a result there. You just sort of think that they finished so strongly last season. Obviously, they've lost 1 or 2, but look, they've strengthened as well. As Paul just said, for Burnley, it's getting it out the way. It's a big game, first game back in the Premier League. It's a bit of a free hit for them. It's not like they have to win for any reason. So I think they'll give it a go. He's got a number of new players. They just signed Santa Berger from Sheffield United. Okay. He may well be available. So, I think it'll be a good game, good for the crowd, and I'd be surprised if it's anything other than a City win, though.
7-2, over 2.5 goals, both teams to score. No, it's going to be a 3-4-0 job. Man City's defensive record is decent, so my money's already down. Steve, Arsenal, Notts Forest, the way the dogs are barking, 1-4 is a gift. Lunchtime kickoff, we know how upset they can be.
Yeah, well, look, I mean, Arsenal beat them very convincingly at home last season, although they struggled away. I think that this is you'd think this would be a nailed-on home win, but it has to be if Arsenal will have any aspirations to go better than they did last season. This is the game they have to win. Forest will make themselves hard to beat. I don't think they'll roll over like they did last year 5-0, but I see Arsenal winning by at least a couple.
Yeah, I think Forest are in trouble this year, Steve. Their home form was outstanding. That's what kept them up, while their away form was terrible. Arsenal all day, all night.
But very short.
Next game, Paul, Bournemouth, West Ham. For me, this looks like the upset in the Premiership this weekend, but how do you see it?
Well, I think that, Bournemouth have actually recruited quite well.
Yeah.
West Ham obviously have left it late to recruit. They might have Ward-Prowse in the team. Maguire certainly wouldn't be at this. They haven't signed him. Don't know if Alvarez is. So, I think for West Ham, it's with Scamacca going, he didn't play much, and Antonio potentially going. It's the goals could be an issue. Obviously, Bowen is Ben Rahman, but they haven't got a number 9 there at the moment. So, I think Bournemouth could maybe upset the apple cart. Certainly hold them.
Yeah, I think it'll be a tight game. But of the two, I like Bournemouth. Steve, Brighton, good pre-season, great last season. 1-3, surely they've got to be good things to beat newly promoted Luton Town?
You would think so. I mean, if they want to, again, they've got a big season ahead of them with European football.
Yeah.
It looks like Caicedo may well go, whether or not they would risk playing him. Not sure they would necessarily, but I think Brighton should be too strong. Luton have recruited a number of new players.
Yeah.
Obviously, it will take a little while for them to bed in, and I would be surprised, again, if it's anything other than a convincing home win.
Yeah, it should be. Your team, Steve, I think you can get a result at Everton. I've never been impressed with Everton. They beat Bournemouth in their last game to stay in the league. I see Calvert-Lewin's back, but I think you can get a result. Staunchness aside, Steve, what do you think?
Well, I think that Palhinha is probably not quite fit.
Yeah.
We don't know if Mitrovic will start. He came on in the friendly last weekend against Hoffenheim. He's back in full training. So it's either between Jimenez and Mitrovic to start. I think, we had a good win there last year, but a draw wouldn't be the worst result. I think that Everton, obviously, first home game of the season. I think the fans will be demanding they get on with it. I think got 1 or 2 injuries.
Yeah.
I think McNeil's out. Not sure if Calvert-Lewin will start. He hasn't sort of played 90 minutes recently, but we'll see. I'd be disappointed if we don't get something, but I'm not sure necessarily we'll get all 3 points.
Yeah, okay. On to our second page, and newly promoted Sheffield United against Crystal Palace. Steve, I like Crystal Palace here. I know Saha's gone to Turkey, but I think Sheffield United are in trouble again this season. But which way do you see it going?
Sheffield United have sold sort of 1 or 2 of their key players. And Nye, who was top scorer last year, and Berger have gone. Trying to bring 1 or 2 in, but I think that there sounds as if sort of money is pretty tight.
Yeah.
So to come up and end up sort of being selling some of your best players. Palace obviously without Zaha. We know that I think Michael Olise is injured at the beginning of the season, but they finished relatively strongly, and with Roy still there, I think they'll get something. Either they'll win or they don't think they'll lose.
Yeah, totally agree. Win and draw Palace for me. Newcastle, Aston Villa, Steve.
Good
I
game.
think this is going to be a good game.
This is
Thankfully,
a good
they made
game.
it Saturday night.
Yeah.
There'll be goals in this, Steve, but which way do you see it going?
Yeah, I think it will be a good game. They both strengthened. Newcastle have brought in 3 big new signings, and Villa have strengthened with Diaby as well. I think Newcastle will certainly start as favourites, but I can see them winning, but I don't think by more than 1. I think it'll be a really good game between 2 teams that finished strongly last year.
Yeah, I've been impressed with Aston Villa. Yeah, that Pau Torres they signed from Villarreal United were in for him a couple of years prior for big money.
Yeah.
But he stayed. He's a quality player. On to Sunday, Paul. I fancy Spurs to beat Brentford. Do you agree?
I'm hoping so. I went to this fixture last time, this pokey little ground, and Kane at the crossbar when it was 2-2. I think Brentford are up for it, but they've lost a striker. They've got a couple of injuries. Hopefully Harry's there. We've got we've got a big squad. I don't know how good we are, how defensively good we are.
Yeah.
We conceded 4 against Barcelona. I think we can win, and I'm hoping. I'm hoping more than anything. I want to see what
you got.
What we got. Yeah.
Steve, how do you see it?
Yeah, I think, look, if Harry Kane stays, then I think there'll be a lot of confidence. I think the issue initially will be the defence. Obviously, they just signed Mickey van der Ven, but I mean, he might take a little while to bed in.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure they strengthen the defence straight away. But I think with Harry Kane still there and sign Kulusevski full time, if Son is back, I'm not sure if he's injured or he's back, but I read an article. He said he's fighting fit and raring to go. So I think there will be goals. I think without Ivan Toney, I think they'll struggle a little bit for me, Brentford. And I fancy Tottenham to get a result there.
Yeah, so do I.
Well played, Steve.
As long as Spurs can handle the set piece approach,
Yeah.
'cause that's where Brentford
Well,
at home,
they're gonna play-
they sling it long,
yeah,
they
they-
win the first touch.
They're going to play Romero.
I just
They'll play
fancy.
Romero.
I just think Spurs can do it. I like
Yeah.
Postecoglou.
Yeah.
I think Spurs
They'll
have a
be
good
attacking.
season this year.
Yeah.
Chelsea, Liverpool, Steve. I
Gee,
fancy
what a game.
Liverpool.
What
Should
a
be a
tough
cracker.
game.
I know there's bitterness between the fans. Yeah, years ago I took one of our winners to the Chelsea-Liverpool game. Geez, the bitterness between the fans I couldn't believe. I fancy Liverpool, Steve. Chelsea
Chelsea
to me, and
improvements.
Konku's injured. I still think they're in a state of Pochettino. For me, the jury's still out. I fancy Liverpool, but how do you see it?
Yeah, I think they definitely miss Nkunku. Obviously, they brought him in to be maybe their main man up front, and he's out for a little while. They haven't brought Caicedo in, so we know that they're missing sort of key component in the midfield. Liverpool, they haven't really set the world alight pre-season. They won 1 or 2.
Yeah,
it's going to be an interesting test for them. Obviously, with their midfield, they've obviously got relatively new midfield.
Yeah.
So, I could see it maybe cancelling themselves out. But I think if there was to be a winner, I'm like you. I think I might just be erring on the side of Liverpool.
Yeah, I just think Chelsea's defence is a bit shaky, and Salah, he's looked quite sharp in pre-season. As much as it pains me to say it, I think Liverpool will win. Last but not least, Steve, Man United, surely you've got to get off to a winning start at Old Trafford?
Well, look, you would think so with the problems that Wolves are having. Obviously, with the new manager, Gary O'Neill just come. Obviously, we know what he did at Bournemouth. He made them hard to beat when he first went there. I think United have got to look at this, think this is an opportunity for us to hit the ground running. I'm not sure the new boy will play yet, but they've still got enough firepower with Rashford to score the goals, and I'd be surprised if they don't win.
Yeah, don't win at home. They'll be marching again. But no, if you can't beat Wolves at home. And last year, Steve, second best away record. I think 19 games. You lost the first game to Brighton. After that was, I think, 15 wins, 3 draws.
Very good.
So great home record. If they're going to be contenders, which I don't think they are, they've got to win at home. Anyway, on to the Championship, where we had one round last week. And we'll bring the odds up now. Good game lunchtime, Steve. Coventry, Millwall. How do you see it?
Yeah. I mean, Coventry played. I watched their game. Played very well.
Middlesbrough.
And in the beginning of the second half, I thought they did well. Sorry, Coventry, Middlesbrough.
Yeah.
So I thought they played very well, but Leicester came strong. Middlesbrough very disappointing, losing at home to Millwall.
Yeah.
They've got 1 or 2 issues. I thought they were going to have a big season, but their top scorer, Chapa Akpom, won't sign a new contract.
Yeah.
And there's talk that he may well go before the end of the window. I think Coventry came unstuck last night. They rotated, got beaten at AFC Wimbledon in the Carabao Cup.
Yeah.
I think that if they play like they did in the
Leicester game
for parts of the second half, I think they should be too strong for
Middlesbrough. Yeah.
For Middlesbrough.
No, I agree, Steve. I watched both playoff games last year. Coventry knocked them out, and I like Coventry. They're my each way or value bet this weekend. Middlesbrough had a lot of players on loan, and they haven't got several of them, so it's going to take them a while. So for me, I fancy Coventry 15-10. I'm always wary of lunchtime kickoffs, but 15-10 for me, Coventry, I think it's a decent price. Birmingham City, Tom Brady's team, they upset the apple cart when they drew at Swansea, cost us everything last week. How do you see them going against Leeds?
I think they could be a little bit of an upset. I mean, they've strengthened the side. They could have won last week. They played with a lot of confidence.
Yeah.
Leeds, were fortunate to get away with a point with a very late goal. I mean, they dominated the second half, Leeds, but they were a shambles in the first half. And I just think that with new ownership at Birmingham, there's a newfound confidence, and they might. This would be a big scalp for them.
Yeah. Leeds won last night 2-1. I backed Birmingham midweek. They played a fairly strong team and they won. Leeds won 2-1, yeah. They 1-0 down, came back to win. So I agree, Steve. I think it draws a major player, and that could go either way.
Yeah.
Cardiff City. I was impressed with them last week, Steve. I watched a lot of the game before switching over the Community Shield. While QPR, a good friend of Paul and I's, Neil Horsman, was at the game at Watford, he said he was embarrassed to be a QPR supporter. You'd expect them to have a better performance, but I don't see them beating Cardiff. How do you see it, though?
No, I think I was very impressed with Cardiff in the first half last week. They've strengthened. They got Josh Bowler up front, who I think is a really good championship player. Yeah. My brother was at the Watford QPR game. The QPR were just a shambles in the first half. You think they might try and turn it around, but I think Cardiff will be too strong for them.
Yeah, so do I. Fancy Cardiff all day. Huddersfield Town against Leicester City. How do you see that going?
Yeah, that's an interesting test for Neil Warner. I think Leicester will be too strong.
Yeah.
Obviously, having sold one or two, they came second half against Coventry last week. They won comfortably in the Carabao Cup last.
Nice night, yeah.
Rotating, they've got Premiership players in the team. I think they'll be too strong for Huddersfield.
Yeah, I think so. I think Neil Warnock. I saw the highlights against Plymouth Argyle, and while they had several chances, Plymouth, could have scored 5 or 6. Just beat 5 or 6 of them, yeah. Steve, on to our next page. Hull City, who I fancied last week but conceded an injury time against Sheffield Wednesday. I wasn't too disappointed in Sheffield Wednesday in their second half performance. First half, obviously, Southampton had all the ball. I think this is going to be a close game, Steve. How do you see it?
Yeah, I think it will be. I thought did better than expected.
Yeah.
They conceded late at Norwich. Sheffield Wednesday were completely outplayed in the first half by Southampton, but that had a go in the second half. Although Southampton ended up being a little bit too strong. I think this will be a close game. I think of the two, if there was to be a winner, I'd probably go with Hull City, but I think it will be a close game.
Yeah, totally agree. Ipswich Town had the result of the first round when they went to Sunderland and won 2-1. There's a guy that I listen to says they promotion contenders against the Stoke City team who thrashed Rotherham 4-1 at home. Should be a tight game, Steve, but could either side win it?
Yeah, I think they can. Ipswich had a good win last night as well in the Cup. It was a very good win at Sunderland. Huge 40,000 plus crowd. I was hoping that the home side would win, but it was a good performance. I think this will be a very close game. Stoke played very well last week against Rotherham, but I think I think you're right. I think Ipswich are going to be dark horses for a playoff place.
Yeah.
Stoke, Stoke have strengthened, but they're up and down all the time.
Yeah.
I think if there was to be a winner, I would go with Ipswich Town.
Okay, now Millwall had a great result last week, winning at Middlesbrough against a Bristol City side who drew with my Preston boys last week. So should be Millwall, shouldn't it, Steve?
You would think so. They rotated the other night and lost 4-0 at home to Reading in the Carabao Cup, and Bristol City scored 5.
Yeah.
So
they had
a bit of a shock. But I think Millwall at full strength should be too strong. But I think Bristol City will make it tough for them. I think this would be, if there was to be a winner, probably Millwall, but no more than by a goal.
Yeah, I think there'll be plenty of goals in that particular game. Now, my Preston boys who got a result at Bristol City, but history shows we always get a result at Bristol City against the Sunderland team, Steve. Yeah, they had a few loan players last year that haven't returned. Disappointing result, losing at home to Ipswich. I think my boys can get a result here. I know it won't be easy beating Sunderland, but the Deepdale, our record isn't too bad. How do you see it going, though?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that Sunderland not quite as strong as they were last year, because obviously with sort of Diallo going back, he was a real playmaker for them. As you say, you never know what you're going to get with Preston. They're hard to beat at Deepdale, though. To be fair, I could see this being a relatively low-scoring game. I'm not sure Preston got enough to win, but I think it's going to be close.
Yeah, win and draw Preston, certainty. Anyway, on to our final page of the Championship, and Rotherham versus Blackburn. I was impressed with what I saw from the Blackburn youngsters last week.
They can play. They can't front must-sitters are the 19-year-old. You must-sitters.
True. The Rotherham home form is going to be key for their survival, Steve, but Lancashire-Yorkshire clash. Which way do you see it going?
Yeah, I was surprised actually at how well Blackburn did, having sort of lost some key players. The youngsters that have come through really tore into West Brom. I think that if they play like that, I think they could well get a result at Rotherham.
Yeah.
I think it could be a difficult season for Rotherham. They haven't strengthened at all. I think Blackburn could go there and get a result.
Yeah, win and draw Blackburn all day for me there. Now Southampton 8-10. Every one of my bets had Southampton in, but now Ward-Prowse is going. They haven't changed in the betting, but obviously tempers my enthusiasm. But can you still see Southampton winning, Steve?
I think so, but it is going to be a little bit tougher. I mean, Ward-Prowse is all but gone. Lavia didn't play; he was on the bench last week, and there's still a lot of interest from Liverpool and Chelsea. So I'm not sure he'll play. I think that Southampton are waiting. Russell Martin is waiting for these players to go, and then I'm sure he'll be given a little bit of money to invest. But I think they will be too strong. Yeah,
well, let's hope so. Watford, your brother, cock a hoop after winning 4-0 last week. Home against Plymouth Argyle, who had a good result. I know their home form's great, but their away form was putrid. Can you see Watford winning again?
Plymouth can play.
Yeah, I think they will be favourites to win. Obviously, last week they should have been playing away, but there was an issue with QPR's ground, so it was played at Watford. So they get 2 home games in a row. I think this will be more of a test for them. As you say, Plymouth home form was great, but away not as strong, but strong enough that they went up.
Yeah.
I think this will be a much closer game, but I fancy Watford just to edge it.
Yeah, I think they have a decent season, the Hornets. And last but not least, even though they got beat last week, I was fairly impressed with West Brom.
Me too.
Swansea
side.
cost us last week, got caught trying to play out from the back, and by all reports, Birmingham should have had the better chances. I think West Brom could rebound here, but how do you see it?
Yeah, I think they're certainly starters' favourites. Swansea lost 1 or 2 players.
Yeah.
They finished strong last year. If the season would have carried on another few weeks, they could well have made the
playoffs.
But I think West Brom could have. It should be expecting to have a better season this season, and I think that they'll start as favourites at the weekend.
We'll have a couple of rand on them. Steve,
bets.
Pressure time again. Need your best bet and value bet, please.
Yeah. I'm going to go for Cardiff in my best bet. I'm just banking on the fact that QPR haven't turned it round in a week.
Yeah.
And my value bet, I'm going to go for Birmingham. I just got this feeling that they're going to have a much better season, especially with new ownership. I think there's a newfound confidence and a bit of excitement, and obviously with, the Tom Brady thing, obviously, but. I just think it's there's a feel-good factor at the club at the moment, and I think they might just, it's a big scalp for them, so it'll be an interesting game.
Yeah, well, I went for Cardiff. This is my best bet. Even money I thought was a good price. I hummed and hard, and I'm going for Coventry as my value bet. I think 15-10 at home against a Middlesbrough team who I think they're going to struggle early on. Some chance them. I don't like lumping on lunchtime kickoffs, Steve, but. Got to take a chance somewhere, so I'm on Coventry City. Steve, last one standing. I just hope you don't spook Man United on Monday.
Put it on Man United.
So anyway, we'll speak over the weekend, Steve, and thanks as always.
All the best, Steve.
Okay, cheers.
All right, Budge, it's time for PSL now.
Yeah,
I'm just glancing through.
Fixtures,
I'm just going through the midweek fixtures. I'll touch on a few errors beating Richards Bay away from home. Pirates, 2 strong for all. 6 goals, 4 players, 2. Sundowns beat Kaiser Chiefs.
2-1, Paul. The first goal, the goalkeeper should get shot. This new style of football, trying to play out from the back on a bad pitch.
I saw it, yeah.
Terrible.
Cape Town City went and beat Swallows.
Yeah, 1-0 away.
Yeah, then 2 draws, and then Polokwane beat Stellenbosch. Stellenbosch,
that was a good result.
Good result. And then the last one, so what's it,
Sekhukhune. They aren't a bad team, Paul.
They went to Cape Town and won 2-0.
So, but Cape Town Spurs, I think, could be a long season for them.
Now, this is
MTN8, Paul.
Okay, MTN8 quarterfinal. Budge.
I like the ruling of what they've done with the competition, Paul. Remember when in our days they drew names out the hat. Now it's 1 place 8, 2 place 7.
Okay,
so I think it's seeded, yeah. So it's...
okay, but Sundowns too good for Swallows?
Paul, you just keep backing Sundowns every week. That's
they're
my
that
opinion.
good.
They're that good. They're far superior. Ask any of the guys out there. Even their second team, I think, would beat most teams.
Okay.
Thick squad. Paul, Pirates, I've been impressed. But Sekakuna, I watched them against Sundowns. They lost 2-1. Had a player sent off early. They aren't a bad team. It'll be a tight game. We'd expect Pirates to get through. But it's not a cakewalk, Paul. I wouldn't be diving into 6-10.
Okay, and then
I fancy Cape Town City, Paul. I was going to make them my value bet of the weekend.
Chiefs, eh?
Paul, we know the Chiefs over the years, but of late they've been woeful.
Yeah.
Watching them against Sundowns, and even in their first game, they drew 0 in Durban here. All the Chiefs fans that I know, they're not impressed. That could be the upset of the round, Paul. And I think Supersport
Stellenbosch be a good
should
game.
Be, Paul. But
Stellenbosch for fair side.
Yeah, but Supersport, Gavin, he's always hyped up for these competitions early on.
Right.
And I fancy them to go through.
Okay, Budge, talking about going through, let's see how your soccer picks went.
We got our GC pools are back, so kick off in the Premiership.
Oh, Premiership,
and
lovely.
on the field in the Bournemouth West Ham United game.
Okay.
I think Brighton will be too good for Luton. On the field in Everton Fulham, looking for an upset. I don't see Crystal Palace losing at Sheffield United. I'm chancing Southampton to win at home against Norwich City. And I've thrown the draw in at St James's Park. Newcastle in the draw against Aston Villa.
Okay.
On to the second soccer six. I'm going Mamelodi Sundowns to be too good against Swallows. The field in the Everton Fulham fixture. Chancing Crystal Palace to win at Sheffield United. Spain, I'm going Real Sociedad, who David Silva's just retired. I'm going them win and draw at home against Girona, Pep Guardiola's team. Orlando Pirates win and draw against Sekakuna. I just think there could be a tight game there. And I'm looking for the upset, Newcastle United, Aston Villa. Tough game, Paul. 2-1-6.
Right,
on to our score 10. Bankering Arsenal to beat Notts Forest. The field in the Bournemouth West Ham game. Brighton to be too good at home against Luton. The field also in the Everton versus Fulham encounter. Going again, Crystal Palace to avoid defeat at Sheffield United. On to the second page. I think this has got a draw nailed on, but I've gone Leeds United win and draw at Birmingham City. I think Leicester City will be too good for Huddersfield Town. Southampton, fancy them to beat Norwich City. I've thrown the draw in. West Ham at home against Swansea City.
West Brom.
West Brom against Swansea City. And I've gone win and draw because of the perm. Newcastle at home to Aston Villa,
the big
288. On to the soccer 13, Paul. Most of the teams that we all know. Newcastle win and draw at home against Aston Villa. I'm siding with Fulham to avoid defeat at Everton. Going with Bournemouth, win and draw at home against West Ham United. Couple of bankers. I think Brighton will beat Luton. And Crystal Palace should be too good for newly promoted Sheffield United. I'm going Leeds United win and draw at Birmingham City. And I think Leicester City will be too strong away from home against Huddersfield Town. Onto the second page, I'm going Cardiff City to beat QPR. Ipswich win and draw against Stoke City, as well as Preston North End win and draw at home against Sunderland. Blackburn Rovers win and draw at Rotherham United, and ending up with two bankers. Southampton to beat Norwich and West Brom to beat Swansea City, 256.
All right, Budge's
bets, Paul. First bet, Monday morning when I saw the betting, I dived in. It's over 2.5 goals. Both teams to score, no. So it's got to be minimum of 3-0, 4-0, whatever. In the Burnley, Man City, and Arsenal, Notts Forest games. I thought 14-1 was
Notts Forest can't score either.
Yeah, only one team can score.
Okay, got you.
So I think they'll both win 3-4-0.
Okay,
2,800.
so hang on, let me get this right. What happens if Notts Forest win 3-0?
Oh, collect it.
Okay.
Yeah. So one team's got to win 3-0, 4-0.
I've got you. Okay, the
Premiership treble. I'm going both teams to score in Newcastle Aston Villa game.
I agree with that.
I'm going Tottenham and Liverpool to win and over 2.5 goals in both games.
That's a nice bet.
So 4,100 to 200.
Okay.
The Championship, I'm going Leicester City to beat Huddersfield, Southampton to beat Norwich City, and over 2.5 goals in both games, and over 2.5 goals in the Watford Plymouth clash. 2,300 to 200.
Plymouth, the players.
Plymouth, have a go, Paul.
Have a go.
But team sides this week are Cardiff City, Leicester City, Southampton and Watford, all championship sides this week, Paul. All to score over 1.5 goals, 2,200 to 200. Both teams to score sides are Cardiff, QPR. Millwall, I think they'll score desperation. Millwall, Bristol City. Preston, Sunderland and Rotherham, Blackburn, 2,100 to 200. And our Collis King, 6 on extra. I'm going Arsenal to beat Forest, Brighton to beat Luton, Man United to beat Wolves on Monday, Cardiff City to beat Queen's Park Rangers, Leicester to beat Huddersfield, and Southampton to beat Norwich, 2,700 to 200.
Oh, but it's so good to be back amongst the
Well,
teams
Spain
we know
starts
so
this
well.
week, so I'll have a look, and then maybe next week. And the PSL was only 4 games,
Yeah, that's right.
so I couldn't do anything.
Gee,
there.
well, that's fantastic. And don't forget the last one standing starts. The Friday game does not count. Everybody will be coming in looking for those bragging rights, looking for that trip overseas or for the women to win it.
Yeah.
2,500 to the best lady. Well, Budge, anything else to add?
No, it starts getting hectic, Paul. You know, all the
yeah.
phone calls and WhatsApps, and my fingers will be raw by the time Saturday
we'll
afternoon. But
we'll
great
chase them
fun,
up.
Paul.
Great fun. It's all
Great
about
fun.
bragging rights.
Yeah.
Until next time, stay on side.